Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you know, I'm Stephanie. Today we have my July wrap up, which just sounds insane to say because what do you mean we're at the last month of summer? Forget that. What do you mean we're at the very end of the year already? Also including the only few books I read in June as well. If you're interested in seeing, continue to watch. Remember to like, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos, and let's get to it. We're gonna start off with The Second We Met by Maya Hughes. I DNF'd this. I think I tried reading it, and the first 30 pages I just could not get through it, and that was my immediate sign that, like, no, you're not gonna enjoy this. Have Stolen by a Sinner. This is by Michelle Hurd. I gave this book 4.5. It was really good and I adored the couple. Not even gonna lie to you guys, I do not remember most of these books at this point. Cinderella retelling. Ooh, now I remember. I really like this. This is Mafia, and pretty much our hero, he is part or owner of the Turkish mafia. He has revenge against this one guy. He has something against the Polish mafia. Now our heroine works for the Polish mafia not because she wants to. She's actually getting tortured in that mafia, and he bumps into her the day that something happens, like an attack happens, and he just thinks she's working for them, but not in a maid type of way, more like she's in the business. So when he attacks, he pretty much takes her hostage. It's a very romantic romance. Like, he didn't feel anything for her or care about her at the very beginning, and it's not that he tortured her or anything like that. He just didn't find her attractive, and as she starts to grow into herself and gain confidence, it was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. Captured by a Sinner. This I also gave it 4.5. Who was the story about? I don't know. Let's find out. It was very hyped up. If you've been reading Michelle Hurd's books from the very beginning, because the first series follows a group of friends, 5, right? The next series follows the kids, and the next series follows the other kids of that first original series. And this one is the second one. I just finished the second series. I'm barely gonna go into the third series. But this one, they have been talking about, like, it's a highly anticipated book because this girl got kidnapped. Like, her whole family got wiped up in the mafia, and they took her hostage. And it's been talked about in book 1. Now, I was super excited. I was like, this is gonna be good. My disappointment was so huge. Those 2 years that he held her captive, we never saw. They literally jumped over that part, and she hated him the whole time. Like, they never got close, and at the very end he let her go. I was just like, what? And then that led to a bunch of issues, and I was just like, you're telling me between the 2 years you guys were together, you didn't become friends? Because he never mistreated her. He literally did everything for her. I was just like, what? So I did give it 4.5, but it should have been way better. I went on a cruise, and it was my very first cruise. I actually vlogged it. It's on my channel already, and I had a great time. I decided to take my favorite book, Marriage for One, to reread because I have read this at this point like 4 times, and I hadn't read it in a while. And I thought, you know what, it's gonna be perfect. Like, I can read it. I won't be worried about finishing it because like, I love it. I already know what happens. It took me pretty much the whole month to finish it because I only read, I think, 10-20 minutes on the trip. Now I'm learning not to take books, not because I don't want to read, but it's because I don't have that time to read. It's like when I'm on vacation, especially Europe, I just find myself go, like, I want to see everything. So now I know, but I only read a little bit on the trip. I got back home, and then I had the huge, like, the biggest book slump of my life, and I didn't read for like a whole 2 weeks. And I was like literally reading 10 pages every once in a while. And then eventually I was just like, I have to finish this, and I finished it. Obviously 5 stars, I love it. So then that's when I decided to film my getting out of a book slump, because at this point I was just like, I need to get out of book slump. So I have a whole reading blog of me trying to get out of book slump. Why am I sitting here and just realized right as I'm editing that I skipped over the best book of this video, which is God of War. It was phenomenal. 5 stars. feel like people, like, they're just focusing on the fact that it doesn't feel like a Legacy of God book, and they're missing how romantic and beautiful it is. The story, it's giving Charlotte from Bridgerton and her story with the king. Ava just has so much going on mentally, but he would do anything. In fact, letting her go just so she could be happy. Like, the amount of things this man did, that Eli King did, which I call him Ellie for some reason, did for her, chef's kiss. Before we go into this books, I quickly want to mention this one, which this is my official announcement, I guess, to you guys, because I mentioned it a couple times already on my channel on different videos, but I haven't officially said it like straight up. I said it more like in vlog. Now, I am no longer reading smut. That is one of my decisions I've made based on my faith. So this is one of the reasons why I automatically put a stop to it. So I received the NARC for Oh You're So Cold by Saffron A. Kent. I've talked about it on my TikTok, how this book was so disgraceful to God, to literally Jesus Christ, and it was the worst thing that I've ever read in my life, and I felt so uncomfortable. They just described God in a very sexual manner that should never happen, and I was just like, this is not okay. And I had an issue with it. I officially deleted the video because I used to love Saffron A. Kent's books so much. And this was the tipping point for me, where I was just like, I don't always like her heroines. Her heroines are the same. They're obsessive. They're all about the guys. And it's not always cute. And this book was not cute at all. So that was a big issue I had with it. I ended up DNFing it after what happened. I think it's in Act 2. I think chapter 13, if I'm correct. But it was really bad. I could not deal with that. And I no longer support her. I'm no longer reading smut. The whole smut thing happened a little bit after that book, but just a little FYI. I either just skip through those chapters, or I try to find books that don't have that. Okay, so these are the books I read in reading vlogs. So I read Tease by Melanie Harlow. This one is it's supposed to be best friends to lovers, but it did turn into friends with benefits, and at that point I had given up smut, and I was just like, not my fave. It also had the thing where they started doing stuff, but they were both, or at least the guy was very much like, let's just continue this, but let's not get in a relationship, even though they like each other. And I was just like, what? And then what made me not really dislike that part is that the girl was like, no, like, I'm not just gonna be your booty call. So she cut him off, and then obviously he got his head back in the game. But I gave this book 3.7. It was a really decent book. It was small town, and it's also fake dating. Like, they used each other for a quick second to help each other. I read Rio by Kennedy Ryan. This was really disappointing. I gave this 3.5. Usually I love Kennedy Ryan's books because they have a lot of depth. It's just not the romance, like the chemistry between characters. It's like she writes stuff that actually has a very big backstory, and I like getting wrapped up around that. But this one didn't do it justice. And one, I feel like I had the same issue. The heroine was very much about the smut immediately. So our heroine is an actor, and she's just in Broadway. Now our hero, he is a director, like in Hollywood, and he has a previous relationship with another actress. So that already, I'm just like, I hate when books do that, because I'm just like, it's supposed to be special between you guys. I shouldn't have to be like, oh, you've done this before. Like, you're just gonna date another actress, which is our main heroine. What? Okay, besides that, I feel like the director was very much like, we cannot do this, you're going to be in my movie, let's give it some time. He was very much about the relationship. She, on the other hand, was very much, let me jump your bones. And I was just like, I don't really like this. And here's my thing, I said this in my reading vlog, but I don't love how she didn't care about her career. She was just like, I don't care, because he straight up told her, like, we need to be careful. Like, people can say that you're just trying to climb up the ranks to be this amazing actress by sleeping around your way up. And she was just like, I don't care. They can say what, girl, you're new. You should care, especially being a female. So automatically I was just like, this isn't the best, but I gave it 3.5. My favorite series. This got me back into reading. If you saw my reading vlog, I was giddy. So this is Did I Mention I Love You, Did I Mention I Need You, and Did I Mention I Miss You. This is by Estelle Mascom. This is old. This is from Wattpad, and I went into it with low expectations because I know what the Wattpad books are. Like, they were very much they have a specific writing style. Like, it could be over the top, over explaining, all these things, but I had so much fun reading this, and this was closed door, so it even made it more amazing because I felt like I was so entertained with the friend group. I felt the chemistry between them. I felt like they truly cared about each other. And that's another like quick reason why I stopped reading smut, and it's because a lot of the books I found myself reading even at the beginning of the year, I just found that they were so focused on immediately getting to smut that I felt like the characters didn't actually like each other or love each other. Like, I would finish a book being like, okay, that was okay. Like, I don't believe in their love. Like, they're just together for the now. When back in the day I used to read the books and I would be like, oh my gosh, this couple, I know they're the real deal, they're like soulmates. But this one was fun. It gave me kind of like Gossip Girl vibes, but in California, which I always say 90210 is Gossip Girl, but in California. There was so much drama, there was so much we cannot be together. By the way, this is a little bit forbidden because they're step siblings, but it was good. I loved it. Fall by Mercedes Braun. I love the movie. I'm obsessed with that movie. I watched it like 4 times, but the book, I just could not do it. It was a little bit too much back and forward for me. It just felt, I don't know how to describe, like childish, but I feel like in the movie it portrayed it really well, and because the movie moves fast, I didn't feel annoyed. But in the book, every other chapter was like the same thing going back and forward, and I was just like, no. So I DNF'd. Then I read Hawk by Jessie Hall. Now we're officially starting in the month of July. So I gave this 3.7. The story in itself was good, but my main issue with it was, once again, the smut was very there. But I do understand that this book revolves around cheating, so I should have known that was gonna happen. But separating that from the story, it was actually good. The story was good. I like that there was a little bit depth to it besides the relationship. And this, pretty much, our heroine has a boyfriend at the time, and her boyfriend moves in. Hawk, our hero, who has been in prison for the past 5 years. And let's just say the story takes off from there. The only thing I have to say is the heroine felt very much like she had nothing to her. I found her personally very boring. So when Hawk was with all about her at the very beginning, I was just like, what do you find interesting about her? I don't know. When heroines don't catch my interest, I'm just like, why? So this is marketed as dark romance. I personally don't really see it very dark. Next, I read Duke and I. This is Bridgerton, and I already watched season 1, season 2. I haven't watched season 3, but here's my thing. I find that I always end up buying books that I've seen movies of, and then I already watched the show, so I'm not interested in reading the book anymore because I already know how it goes. Now, this one was really good. I enjoyed it. It was so much fun, exactly like the show. It's like, as I was reading it, I could just see the show playing out, and it was good. I gave it 4 stars. The Love Hypothesis. Now, this, I gave it 3.7. It is a rom-com. It got slow in certain points that I was just like, okay, let's keep it moving. And I just, at this point, I made my choice where I was just like, rom-com should be 200 pages. They shouldn't be more than that. This does have the fake dating trope, which I found good. It also shows that he was very much interested in her from the very beginning, and she didn't realize that. And I like that. I like when the guy is interested and he's so grumpy, he wouldn't do certain things, but then the way he acts with her says that he likes her, but she doesn't realize, and I'm just like, this is good. Okay, we're into the last final books. So I read Frayed by Laura Pavlov. So I want to give small town romances a try, just because I'm not a small town romance girl, but with me no longer reading smut, and I'm not saying small towns don't have that, because at this point most books have that, but I want to get into more storytelling books now. Like, I want to find more depth in books, have a story, and I find that that could be found in found families, which equals series that are either like small town, or they're focused like in sports, like a group of friends, like things like that. This, I gave it 4 stars. It could have been 4.5. So this is, they were friends when they were kids, but then they separated. Now she's dating this other guy, but it's kind of like friends to lovers. So the guy she's dating is her mom's best friend's son, and they're in their senior year of high school, and the guy is just a no-go. Like, he is terrible, and they break up. As soon as they break up, she starts her friendship back with this guy who she was friends with like in kindergarten, and it was like the most wholesome thing, because it was very focused on just becoming friends and then into lovers. The only thing that it's not a 4.5 is because it annoyed me, because she stayed loyal to her ex-boyfriend and decided to be good friends with him, and I was just like, no. Like, it felt to me like the author tried to redeem him because it's small town, and in my head I was just like, he could have stayed the bad guy. Like, I wouldn't have cared. Then I read Home Run Proposal. This, once again, could have been 4 stars, but I ended up giving it 3.7. Now, this is sports romance. This is my best friend's older brother, and her best friend is a guy. Now, this was good because he has been into her from a very long time, but she didn't realize it. Once again, how do you not see it? But she's always liked him. My main thing is, I feel like there was no conflict here. So, one, her best friend is a guy, right? I feel like he should have been gay. Not that you can't have platonic relationships, but he would call her babe. He would, it was just, it didn't add up necessarily. I was just kind of confused. Also, the hero literally went up to the brother and asked for permission. He was just like, hey, are you into her? Can I date her? So once again, there was no conflict for them to sneak around, and then he would have found out, the brother, because that's where the betrayal is. That didn't happen because he knew from the very beginning he was into her. I'm so sorry. I hate when authors try to make a character quirky. Don't get me wrong. If you're quirky, it is what it is, right? But when they like specifically only give you one thing to base your whole personality, I'm just like, no. This girl was all about aliens and Bigfoot. She literally has socks. She had t-shirts. She had a podcast. And on campus, she was known as the alien weirdo. That was not my thing. Not that I didn't like the heroine, but I was just like, I don't like that. Like, you're not my vibe. She had a lot of insecurities. Like, they made a contract because she wanted to lose her V card, and he was gonna help her. So that part I didn't like, because a lot of the scenes were that, so I would just skip it. But all along, he was just like, I'm trying to make this into a real relationship. And she had one foot out the door, thinking like, I could never be good enough for you, because he was the baseball pitcher. Yeah, I ended up giving it 3.7. I read The Third Best Thing by Maya Hughes. This is The Fallen Twin You. 3.7. There was many good things about it, but also not many good things about it. Now, the main issue with this book is it's sports romance, and it's football. They're neighbors. They were also pen pals, but secretly, like, she would write letters to him, sexual letters to him. We're gonna ignore that because it wasn't really shown. They do have the letters at the end of the book, but that's irrelevant. We never see that. We never see the back and forth. The book starts with him being in love with the letter girl, but he's very much good friends with their neighbor, the girl, the heroine. And he doesn't know that she was the one writing the letters. So they have this amazing friendship. So it's kind of like friends to lovers. Her mom is terrible. The only issue I had with this, she was very insecure, like a lot insecure. Like, anything and everything, she would automatically turn it negatively. And that wasn't necessarily the thing that annoyed me the most. It was like a tiny annoyance, because I was just like, it wasn't overly mentioned. even though you could see it affecting her. My thing was pretty much focused on his sister, his stepsister issue. Like, the problem in this book was going to be the sister the whole time, and I didn't like that. Like, I wish it would have been more them, because even when he does find out that she was the letter girl, it's kind of anticlimactic. Then I've been wanting to read this book for years, but I don't know why Maya Hughes has a hockey sports romance series. It's like 5 books. I read them all. From the very beginning of that series, she has been putting this couple in your face, like giving hints. My thing was like, let me get through the series, and then I had to read this whole series to get to their book because it's the final book. I tried doing that. Book 1 I hated. Book 2 I DNF. Book 3 was okay, as I just said. This is book 4. I loved it. I gave it 4.5, and I knew I was gonna like it a lot. This is Best Friends to Lovers, and this one did show you little moments when they were like in kindergarten, in 3rd grade, and I love that. Like, if you're gonna be best friends to lovers but you've been knowing each other forever, I want those little snippets, and I actually want to see it. I don't just want to hear it voice of mouth saying like, oh yeah, like we did this when we were young. No, I want to actually see it. It was so good. They, for the longest time, were just friends, even though they've always liked each other. Literally, the book is called 4th Time the Charm, because every time they tried getting together, something happened. This was amazing. Those are all the books I read in the month of June and July. I hope you guys like it. Remember to like this video. Comment down below how many books you read. Let me know if you know of any good. Have any recommendations for a small town that is not Elsie Silver. I refuse to read cowboys. If you guys like this video, comment down below, subscribe, and until next time.